Today's story is very strange because what this doctor experienced still haunts her to date. According to this doctor, she's very sure that she encountered a spirit of this particular patient because at any time she tried to look for a reasonable explanation behind the occurrence of this particular event, she could find none. Nancy was a psychiatrist, and there was this time she was working as an early shift psychiatric and medical case worker. Now, there was this particular patient who will get so tired from attending dialysis 3 times a day that he will go direct to his unit without passing by Nancy's office for checkup. Nancy had 45 patients under her care, and she will do medical follow-ups and checkups on each and every one of them, but they were required to at least stop by her office once a week so that they can get their medical checkup. But this patient will not do that. This particular patient was very introverted, and so he was uncomfortable having to do medical follow-ups. And once he got into his units, he would just stay there, and Nancy would be required to do medical follow-ups either through a phone call or when she was dropping food for the particular patient, he will then do the medical examination there. However, there's this particular day, this patient decided to stop by Nancy's office. For about 2 hours, they had a chat. Now, this patient was a military veteran, and he decided to tell Nancy about his experiences and challenges during his time in service as a military personnel. Now, Nancy thought that this was really strange because this patient was introverted and it was unlikely for him to open up like this. But Nancy thought that, you know what, this is actually good. It can actually build a rapport for future psychiatric and medical assessment, making them easy because now they would have a relationship, a kind of cordial relationship with this particular patient. Somewhere along the conversation, this particular patient, let's name him George, decided to shift the conversation. And now it was about how he actually came to find and know about God. He spoke about how through his experiences, God had spoken to him through various many Bible verses. And this particular Bible verse stood out really for him. And he quoted from Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2, which says that we should not fail to entertain strangers because in so doing, some have entertained angels unaware. Now, Nancy really thought that this was actually great because he was having a conversation with this particular patient, and he decided to ask him if she would write down the Bible verse. The patient said, sure, and Nancy took a piece of paper and pen and wrote down the Bible verse. Now, after that, the conversation ended, and Nancy made sure to praise this patient for stopping by and having this conversation with him. She was trying to build a rapport with this patient for future psychiatric and medical examination, and she made sure to praise him, thank him, and also encourage him because this patient was really diligent in following up with his treatment. And the patient left and told Nancy, see you later. And the day was ended like that. Nancy didn't really think a great deal about this conversation, but she was very peaceful and very happy because of what she had gotten from sharing with this veteran about his experiences and especially about the Bible verse and the Bible quotations. The following day, and this is where things started getting a bit strange, Nancy at around 5:30 a.m. arrived at her office, and she was getting ready, arranging her table, trying to make sure that the progress of the day was made well that morning, when she received a visit from the property manager assigned to the intensive psychiatric unit. After exchanging greetings with her, this property manager told Nancy that, you know what, yesterday at around 11:15 a.m. we had to contact the coroner service because patient in unit 200 had actually passed away. Now, Nancy was a bit thrilled with this information, and she had to ask again, are you sure? that the patient passed around at 11:15 a.m. that morning? And the property manager said, yes. Nancy had again to ask this question because this particular patient who the property manager was claiming that he had passed away was the same patient that had spoken to Nancy in the evening of the same day that the patient is claimed to have died in the morning. The property manager confirmed it. In fact, she said that she was doing a mandatory wellness check while also getting some housing documents when she entered Unit 200, and she discovered that George, the patient in this particular case, was sitting on his chair, completely still and cold, which means that he had died a little while before even 11:15 a.m. and they had to contact the coroner service in order to take George's body to the morgue. Nancy was really thrilled at this particular day and at this particular moment because she realized that this patient who had visited her in that evening or late afternoon had actually died hours back. And she was really shocked, she was really thrilled. But one thing stood out for her, and it is the sharing that this patient had given her about his experience, about finding God, about the Bible verses that he quoted to her, especially the one in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2. And as thought that, what, this was an experience with the spirit of this particular patient. Later that week, Nancy and her team put together a vigil for George, and they prayed prayers and sang in his memory. To date, this experience lives in Nancy's mind, and she's particularly grateful for the sharing that she received from this particular patient about his spiritual experience and about the journey of finding God, because she now says that that has really helped her in her own spiritual experience. So let me know what you think about the story, and as usual, you'll find such stories here on Beyond Earth. This channel is dedicated to share faith-based mysteries that are still unexplainable, that can confirm one thing: there's someone beyond Earth that watches for you.